Makers Mob. Hey, what's up? Hey, we're live.
Look, we got some friends already.
There are literally tens of us. Yes, Chris. There's tens of us. Hey, guys from Mount Vernon, Washington. What's up, Sam?
Tucson.
From Tucson.
East Vancouver. Yeah.
Man. What's up?
Our brother from just across the strait.
Almost skip a rock and hit him. Yeah. Take a BC ferry and hit him.
Not if you're unvaccinated.
Okay, let's not get into it. What's going on? Gary,
whoa, from
Pennsylvania. Nathan.
Tunkhannock, Pennsylvania. That's a place to be from, eh?
Where is Tunkhannock in Pennsylvania?
It's obviously a town in Pennsylvania.
I know, but where? I mean,
I guess you were born there. You were born in Pennsylvania.
No, I wasn't born in Pennsylvania.
Where were you born? I thought you were born there.
I was born in Port Alberni.
Oh yeah, you would have been American if you were born in Pennsylvania.
I lived in Pennsylvania
when you were young. You lived there.
Yeah. Well, no, I lived there when I graduated high school there.
Yeah.
My senior year.
Nathan, welcome.
Richmond, Virginia. Van Ness is here.
Van Ness.
Scranton. Oh, you're near Scranton, near Michael Scott. Nice, Gary.
I'm sure he's never heard that one. You dad joker.
Dumbass. What's going on, guys? Dang it, do that
so
wrong.
this is kind of a Q&A live hangout, guys. So we need you guys to stimulate the conversation here with your inquiries and questions. Got nosy.
Got Arizona. Before we get into the Q&A, we're gonna get an update from Mr. Samurai Carpenter. Him and I went up there recently to his property, and we did a little bushwhacking, hiked a mountain.
You guys probably saw the video.
If you didn't see the video,
it's a real nail biter.
It's a doozy.
It's just intense.
Gripping
action from start to finish.
There's so many people who are like questioning your chainsaw in that video. They're like,
yeah, so many people were hating on my battery-powered chainsaw. I was like, dude, what's wrong with chainsaws? Like, could you not see? I was clearly using it to clear the trail.
Why exactly would you bring a chainsaw? If you were there,
did you not see? There's like literally trees like across the trail at shoulder height the entire way. Like, yeah, and the whole point of taking the chainsaw, people, was to start the process of clearing a path. So even though we were bushwhacking, we were trying to find the most, easy way to get up there and start clearing it so that every time we hike it, it gets easier and easier and easier. So that's why I was taking a chainsaw. I wasn't just taking it to flex my chainsaw in the woods. Okay. So, and people were like, oh, use a machete. It's like, clearly you've never used a machete before and you're an idiot, because machetes do not work on dry wood. They do not work on logs that are this big unless I want to sit there for 45 minutes chipping away with a machete.
Yeah.
So machetes work in the jungle where the trees and the plants are like soft and wet all the time and they can easily chop through. But this is the British Columbia hard, like there's logs everywhere and they're dry and you can't chop dry dead wood with machetes. So
it was probably what, two hours of bushwhacking to get up to the peak. About 2 hours?
Yeah, 2 hours and 15 minutes it took us to get up there. So
which it actually, I mean, and the elevation climb was, decent elevation climb, but you used that thing consistently, and we went through 2 batteries.
Yeah. And should have brought more chain oil because I was bone dry by the end of it.
Yeah. So, I mean, if we didn't have that thing, I don't even know what we would have looked like.
Yes, Pat, for you asking about the footings, which we'll be discussing here shortly, as they need to be removed.
Oh my gosh! Someone was asking about that chainsaw. And what do you think? What do you think about it? Like, do you like it?
It's actually pretty sweet. No, it's really good. Like the battery life is insane on it. So I was using it pretty consistently for 2.5 hours, and it went through one battery probably 2/3 of the way up. So obviously I did the most cutting on the way up. And then I still had battery, and then we switched batteries about 2/3, 3/4 of the way up. And I cut a fair bit on the way back down too. And because we took a different path coming down.
Because we were smart.
Yeah, because we were smart and we couldn't find the other trail back. And I still had battery life when I got back. So I probably, if I'm thinking in like 2-stroke terms, I probably would have gone through, I don't know, 4 tanks of gas. If I had brought my just like a little 170 or something up there. So I think it's far better, and it's far easier to not have to carry a jerry can. And the thing rips. Like, you can get even more powerful ones that still makes. I think I got the 130. I think you can get a 140. There's a 120, 130, 140, 160, I think. So they'll obviously chew up the batteries a bit more, but with a sharp chain and the thin curved blade on it, it's really good for going through small logs. I love it.
I'm just reading a whole bunch of questions here. Switch to YouTube. I'm assuming you're saying for lives. I mean, a few months ago, we felt like this was better to go on here instead of the site. Is it just easier? How extensive are your plans for the site? Meaning I'm guessing your new property.
Yeah. I plan on building a cabin. That the allowable square footage is 1,600 square feet, and then you're allowed to have an auxiliary cabin or building, storage shed up to 430 square feet, somewhere in there. So I'm allowed to have 2 buildings on the property. I've always got a little outhouse, and then you can build anything 10 by 10 or smaller without a permit. So I'm trying to do a 10 by 10 cabin right now. But yeah, then this winter I'm going to actually start drawing up plans for the cabin and going through the process of permitting and all that kind of BS, so that maybe I could start breaking ground in the spring. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, the plan is to develop it as much as possible and to put in some camping sites and hopefully be able to rent it out to people like you guys and have you come out and hang out for a week and cut some wood with me and do stuff like that, and just offer it as kind of a maker tourism site for people that are allowed to travel, if anybody's allowed to travel in this world in the future. But yeah, we'll see.
We got a question, Jesse. How thick is 16 microns, Jesse?
How thick is 16 microns? It's like, I think if you split a hair into 4, 1/4 of a hair's thickness is 16 microns, I think, somewhere.
So like one more than 15 microns and one less than 17 microns.
Yeah, somewhere in there. Somewhere in there.
So let's do an update on what's happening at the property. This is the inside scoop on what happened. So Jesse, let's go back.
So I live on the property's on a lake. For those of you who are still confused about this, the property is on a lake, a large lake on Vancouver Island. I do not own an island. It's not an island on a lake. It's more of a peninsula within a very large lake.
Part of a peninsula.
So it's boat-in access only, but that doesn't mean it's its own island. There's just means there's no roads there because it's all wilderness in the back. So yes, it's a large lake on Vancouver Island.
Let me set the stage here. Okay, so Jesse and I drove up there, and we jumped in his boat to get to the property, and we pull up, and what do we find, Jesse?
So right next to my boardwalk is a surveyor pin about 6 feet away from my boardwalk with a big, piece of ribbon on it tied to a tree saying like, hey, here we are. This is the property line. And I was like, oh, shit. I did not think the property line was that close to my boardwalk. I thought it was probably another 20 feet further because I had measured from the neighbor's property line where they told me the property line was across with like 100-foot tape. And, I thought I was within a couple feet when I measured it. And apparently I'm not a good surveyor.
Not even close.
so the angle of the property line was a little steeper than I thought, and it cuts really close to where my boardwalk is. And I'm supposed to have 15 feet of setback from the property line. And I'm actually, with the angle of my boardwalk the way it is, it's actually cutting through the property line, depending on how far the property line goes down to the water. So my neighbor didn't seem too miffed about it. He was like, we can talk about it, don't stress. And I was like, too late, I'm already and stressing like crazy.
Yeah.
So I just immediately started forming some new footings to move the boardwalk. So I'm taking the boardwalk from the direction that it's in right now and then shoving it further closer to the rock, as close as I can get it, because there's kind of like this big rock there. The reason why I put the boardwalk there was because there was this kind of like natural indentation in the topography where I could come down at a lower grade to the closer to the water, right? Whereas the rest of the property kind of has this really kind of steep rock bluff that goes up like at least another 6 or 7 feet, and I didn't want to have like steep stairs coming up, so I'm moving my boardwalk over. I haven't quite figured out how I'm going to move 3,000 pounds of wood yet, but my neighbors have a machine out there, and so I'm hoping that, and they said that they would help me lift it because there's also like 10 of them, so we might be able to just muscle it. But I was thinking like maybe they could just bring their little machine over and like stretch the arm out as far as possible, and we could sling it and just move it onto the new footings that I'm pouring. So yeah, get a survey first before you start building, people. Don't be an impatient idiot like myself. I think you know what you're doing and where you're building. Scott, it says, what types of permits do you need to build the dock and buildings? Supposedly right now, from what I've heard from the neighbors and other people around the lake, is that they're in the process of actually like trying to bring in more bylaws regarding docks and boardwalks and that sort of stuff. Because up until now, there's nothing as far as docks are concerned. There's no enforcement. I think you're supposed to get a lease, but a shore lease or something, but nobody does because there's nobody that comes out and checks or does that sort of stuff. And so the neighbors were like, just build your dock and get it in before they vote in any new bylaws regarding dock sizes and that sort of stuff. And so the neighbors, they build like a monster marina almost, because whatever is built once the new bylaws come into place technically is grandfathered in. So I'm kind of like stressing and trying to rush to get that done. I don't know if they're going to vote in any new laws or not, but there's a lot of talk about it on the lake. And then as far as building the buildings, it's kind of like anywhere else in Canada. You have to, submit plans and go through the process of getting permits and that sort of stuff.
Except for 10 by 10 or less.
Yeah, I think if you're building a 10 by 10 or less shed, then it doesn't require a permit.
Terracing the property. What about terracing?
I don't plan on excavating the property very much at all.
It's very naturally terraced itself.
Yeah, like there's kind of already like kind of a big rock bluff, and then a flat spot, and then another rock bluff, and then it flattens out. So the topography is pretty rocky, and the rock is pretty much right there at the surface. There's no topsoil, and there's a lot of like loose rock and clay soil. Not good soil for growing or anything, but so the nice thing is I probably won't have to dig very far to get down to solid bedrock to put footings and stuff on, but I'm going to be building up. I'm not digging down. So the buildings will be built on footings and beam work and, samurai timber frame style.
Whoa, he's showing off the guns there.
The gun show.
Jesse, do you know any Dutch words? Tony's asking.
No, I know very little Dutch.
You know some.
I know ik hou van jou, which I think means I love you. So that's the only really words I know.
Stroopwafel?
Stroopwafel, yeah. South. So yeah, Gary's asking, what tools did you have to purchase that you never thought you would need? I don't think I have that problem because I already had most. I have pretty much all the tools. What I didn't really realize, which it is really common sense, but a lot of time common sense doesn't hit you until you're in the right situation. Is that hauling my tools back and forth from the property is just a royal pain in the ass. So essentially, if you buy a recreational property or if you have a second property, you need a second set of tools to stay at that property. So I've had to purchase a lot of just duplicates of tools so that I have, a drill up there and a drill in my shop still and an impact driver up there. I've already had several impact drivers just from collecting over the years, but I've had to purchase duplicates of a lot of tools just to keep at the property because it's like carrying 400 or 500 pounds of tools on a boat back and forth. It's just not worth it. So I've just been slowly, like every week, or every month, I'll buy one new tool that I'm like, okay, I can't really live without this up there, and then I keep it up there and just leave it, and then I just transport the batteries back and forth because obviously batteries are really expensive. And I have a lot of batteries, so I just have like a waterproof container that I just stack all my batteries in. I charge them up in my shop, and then I take all my batteries up there and I use them throughout the weekend, and I'll charge them with the generator if I need to. And so, and I've even purchased some more batteries just so I have a really good supply of batteries because using cordless tools up there is just 10 times easier than hauling out the generator and the cords all the time. So,
yeah. Kevin's asking, did you get the water situation figured out? In the works.
Yeah, it's in the works. We got the 2 containers up there, and so I just need to find a spot to put them, level it out, and stack them all up. Or I'm not going to stack. I'll put them side by side, and then I'm hoping to get my brother-in-law Wade out there, who's a plumber, and just have him help me set up all the lines. I've got 1.5 ABS, big 100-foot spools of that up there, so that I can run a line from the dock up to where the water tanks are for filling it with my fire pump. So I've got a fire pump that'll pump the water up into the tanks, and then I got a 1/2-inch line that'll run down to where the sink is, and you maybe put a hose spigot somewhere. And I should have enough pressure to, have decent water pressure and have water that way. And then I just want to make sure my brother-in-law helps me with valves and be able to bleed the water out come winter, which is coming pretty quick, so that the lines don't freeze and breaks and that sort of stuff. So that'll probably be one of my main focuses here once we get the little cabin framed up and airtight, which will take a little while. But yeah, so that's probably looking September, maybe into October, November. I'll probably be working on some more trails and just clearing some land and getting the water system set up and doing some more infrastructure that way, clearing a lot of dead trees at the end of the month here. So I'm not drinking beer. I'm drinking rum and root beer because I didn't have any.
Oof. Rum and root beer.
That's actually really good.
That's
but
sophisticated.
A healthy pour. My wife poured it for me. She's like,
Courtney.
Yeah, it's called a healthy pour.
Someone's
yes,
asking,
my water will be coming from the lake. The lake water is the cleanest water I've pretty much ever seen. Well, not ever seen, but it's crystal clear, like 40 feet down. It's very clean. Like over 2,500 people on the lake drink the water right out of the lake. So I'll probably filter it, obviously, but you don't even really need to. I've drank the lake water plenty, and I haven't got sick. So, yeah.
Don go back a bit here. Here, I'll bring it up on the screen.
It's just some Sailor Jerry. I like my Sailor Jerry's rum.
Don's asking, assuming no electric power or gas lines at the site,
yeah,
solar and propane?
Fully off grid, so everything is solar, propane, generator, that sort of stuff. Could do wind, but there's not a lot of options out there for good wind generators. They're all pretty small and really expensive, and so yeah. But the neighbors put in a 13 kilowatt solar system, which is really big. because they built a really big house. Because there's several families that all bought in on it together, so that because they couldn't afford it on their own. So they've got a really big system, but the other day it was rainy when I was up there, and they said like they were drawing too much power and they had to start conserving just because they weren't getting the full charge. Whereas like when they set it up the summertime, like in the summertime, it's great. Like you've got endless power. You can run table saws, they said. Like they've got lots of power, but it's only when it's sunny out, and then the sun is gone now. Or it will be shortly. Like by the end of the month, we're not going to be getting any more sunny days, and so they're going to have. I'll be interested to just watch and see what their solar system does over the winter. It's nice to have neighbors that have been building out there for a while. They started 3 years ago, and it's taken them 3 years working weekends to get their property to completion. They're just about at occupancy. They're getting their inspection, and then so I'm trying to learn everything I can from them and see what they've done. They're way more like modernized everything. Basically, like they did it like an in-town kind of build with full foundations, and just everything is like thermostats. They've got water boiler heaters in all the rooms that are thermostat controlled. So when they're not there, like the heat will still be coming on and stuff. So
like
radiators. Yeah, they got like radiators in each room, and it's all run with heat pumps and stuff. And one of the neighbors is like a mechanical, guy that does pumps and water systems and stuff. So they've done a lot of research and stuff. So I'm interested to see their kind of modern system and how well it works. But I'm definitely going to be going more like Bush League kind of, minimum power, because I don't plan on having a big wood shop and stuff out there. So,
did you get any unwanted spider bites or ticks?
Honestly, everybody's been talking about ticks lately, ticks and Lyme disease. I'm just like, dude, I've lived on Vancouver Island my whole life, and I don't think I've ever seen a tick in my entire life.
I have once.
Yeah, and so I'm sure there's some ticks out there, but I've never seen a tick or had a run-in with one. Spider bites, we don't really have any bad spiders around here. Like I think we have black widows. I've never seen one.
We have brown recluse.
Yeah, we have brown recluse, which when I worked up at a camp, some campers got bit by them. You put a little steroid cream on it because it's like a flesh-eating thing, but it's not bad. It's not like life-threatening or anything like that. So yeah, not really worried about insects at all. We got lots of bats up there, which is great. They keep the mosquitoes and bugs.
It's those horse flies.
Yeah, the horse flies. Well, there's not a lot of horse flies, but
there's 3 or 4 of them.
There's a few monsters, and they start sawing into you, and you can feel it. But they're slow, and you can friggin' smack them. So,
what do we got here? Blacksmith shop. You're gonna want one out there? I don't know. Are you gonna do anything like that?
No, like as of now, like. This is a recreational property. Now, I've already pitched the idea, and I'm starting to warm the wife up to moving out there full time once we have everything built. But it's going to be a very like simplistic lifestyle where I want to move power consumption and move everything down. So, yeah, maybe I might have a little dirt style blacksmith shop, but I'm not a big blacksmith as much as I'd like to be. And the woodworking side of things, it's like, sure, I'll always use my power tools, but I'm never going to be bringing out big 220 tools out there. So everything will be done with more hand tools and chainsaws and more rough style, but obviously to a high level of craftsmanship, which is my thing. So yeah, I'm still kind of interested whether or not I'm going to probably just build like an open air kind of shop, like a big roof area that's just covered. Where I can work in the rain and in the winter time, but it's not going to be like an insulated place right at first, maybe. So we'll see. I want to make it more of like a retreat with like camping platforms and tree houses, and just make it a really cool place to go and meditate and relax and have fun with the family and have friends and other families come out and visit and just kind of experience the beauty without making it into like a big, this is my place where I do everything kind of a thing. Because there's no way I'm going to be able to generate enough power to run a full shop and stuff like that. I don't want to try and, reinvent the wheel and create all sorts of power systems. I want to be like very minimalistic out there. So
How big is the property?
It's 5.5 acres.
5.5 acres.
So it's narrow and long. So it's about 150 feet wide, 47.5 meters wide, and then like 200 meters or 600 or 700 feet long. So it goes way back in the woods. And there's, like you saw in that last video, you want to start woodworking. Well, there aren't any kits to start woodworking, but you want to start with a good quality chisel, a couple chisels, and I prefer Japanese saws. I like Gyokucho, Ryoba saws. They have 2 cross-cutting and rip-cutting teeth. You can see all sorts of tools and stuff on my Amazon store if you go to samuraicarpenter.com. But yeah, let's just say, as far as kit goes, I'm still building my woodworking kit. Let's just put it that way. you never stop acquiring new tools. So if you're looking to do it cheap, good luck to you. I haven't found a way to do woodworking cheap.
This is the classic.
The classic.
Which is your favorite wood, and the Japanese hand planed. What would you buy?
Every wood is different. My favorite smell is yellow cedar or cypress. There's many other woods that I probably prefer to work with as far as hardwoods are concerned. I like sapele and oak and maple and that sort of stuff. But the best all-around hand planes are the Yamamoto planes. If you look up a guy by the name of Andrew Wren on Facebook, he sells them and knows the smith personally and orders directly from him in Japan, and he has a little online tool store. So if you look at the Japanese tools, hobbies, and interest page on Facebook, there's a Japanese tools page, and there's all sorts of guys that'll geek out and tell you what plane to get on there. But yeah, in our Makers Mob group, Andrew Wren is one of the members in our Facebook page, and so you can, if you're a member of the Makers Mob, you can just tag him in a post, and he'll respond to your posts. And he's always bringing in new planes of all different qualities and stuff like that. But the Yamamoto planes are the best bang for your buck for sure.
Got a question here from Robert about rain and what materials are you thinking of using to seal and wrap up the cabin walls and roof?
So yes, we do get a lot of rain out there in the wintertime. So it's about 1,200 mils a year, which is 1.2 meters of rain, which is a fair bit. So what I'm planning on doing is I'm building a timber frame, right? So the frame will be all on the inside, and then I'm going to wrap the whole thing in tongue and groove. So that'll be the wall panels will just be tongue and groove, probably 1x6 tight knot cedar, just like typical tongue and groove like you can get at the hardware store. So I'm going to do the walls and the roof and that. And then once I have that on, I'm going to wrap the whole thing in rigid styrofoam, the blue styrofoam or whatever. It's got the lap joints, and you just put that on there. And then I'm going to probably strap, so the whole frame will have an unbroken layer of probably 3-inch rigid styrofoam, and then maybe 4 or 5 inches on the roof. And then I'll strap that with 1x4s and screw through the 1x4s with some long, like U2 lag screws into the frame, so that the styrofoam is securely strapped with 1x4s, and then I'll use those 1x4s to mount my siding to. Still on the fence as to whether or not I'm just going to do like board and batten yellow cedar siding, or if I'm going to do shake. I don't know. I'd like to do shake, but like cedar shingles, but we'll see whether or not I can afford that. Whoa, Kevin, cheers to you, mate. Thanks for the beer.
Hey, look at that. I mean, I drink beer too, Kevin.
Yeah, but you're not as interesting as me when you do.
We got, okay, what do we get? Oh, someone's asking about fishing. Is there good fishing? Derek wants to know.
Depending on the time of year, there's good fishing. So in the summertime, the trout go deeper where the water's colder and they're not as nippy. But in the spring, there's really good fishing. So there's cutthroat, rainbow trout. There's even some sea run sockeye that come through up the river, through the lake to some other rivers to spawn. You can't keep those, but you can catch and release. So yeah, I've heard there's some really good trout in the lake, like 5-6 pounders, like big trout. But I haven't done any fishing yet. I just haven't had any time, and I want to kind of get into it. So yeah, like early spring is the one that the trout are really biting up there. So you'll see more fishermen through the winter and they're into the spring. But the summertime is just so much boat. There's a lot of boat traffic on the lake. I was actually surprised. This is my first summer, obviously owning the property, and it's a really lots of like wake surfers and all these fancy boats and stuff like that towing wakeboarders.
All these yahoos,
all these rich people in their fancy boats coming down there to wake surf and wakeboard and slalom and ski and do all that sort of stuff. So it's cool, and there's lots of houseboats that come by because you can rent houseboats on the lake. So it's cool because there's people around, but then during the week it's pretty quiet out there, and so it's nice if you want to have quiet time, you go out during the week. But the weekends are pretty like bumping in the summertime. I was actually quite surprised at how many people are out there throughout the summer, but I don't blame them. It's absolutely gorgeous lake. Whoa, Keegan, thank you, sir. Beer for Adam. There you go, buddy.
See? I like this guy.
Look at you.
Chris Lair, first of all, great profile picture.
Yeah,
interested in sharing?
I don't care about that sort of stuff. I'll share. We got the property for $330,000. So
Canadian.
So not cheap by some of your standards, but quite cheap for this island. So a 3/4 acre lot that was, a little bit more easy, like what they would consider low bank. So, grass sloping down to the water. A 3/4 acre lot on the same lake a couple of years ago. I remember there was one for sale with road access kind of like on the other part of the lake where there's, drive-in access and lots of homes and stuff like that. That was $1 million just for a building lot. So, if you want to drive in property, you're looking at $1 million just to start building. So yeah, that's pretty crazy. So
how come
to get 5 acres for $330K, I thought that was a screaming deal, and it's actually on the more beautiful part of the lake. But
and it's quieter, less people.
Yeah, it's quieter. It's more natural, and the views are insane as you guys have seen, but just a lot harder to get stuff out there and build. So,
something you'd ever Airbnb rent sounds like something I'd pay to visit, Anthony.
Yes, that's what I was talking about a little bit earlier. Is hoping to get maybe a couple little rental cabins or at least some tent platforms and stuff where people could come out and camp out for a weekend and hang out and do some kind of, I call it maker tourism, where people, that want to experience that sort of stuff or, just meet me and play with a chainsaw for a weekend. It'd be awesome. Right. So
this guy here, I like it. So. Oh, it's awesome. What is Celsius in inches, Jesse? 16 microns.
16 microns. Point. Shut the hell up.
Trout for the win. Any salmon or coconut?
Yeah, there's salmon fishing just in the town right there because the town is on a large inlet. So there's insane spring salmon fishing, or king salmon as the Americans call it. They always got to make it better. Name a spring salmon a king salmon. You gotta put a crown on it. That is American. So yeah, there's a huge salmon run right now. I'm actually hoping to go out to my favorite river and slay a couple big ones, fill the freezer with some spring salmon, and then the chum will hit in another couple of weeks, and I might get a few of those and smoke them. I'd like to try smoking some fish this year. So yeah, there's lots of good fishing up here, I'll tell you that. It's literally like the fishing capital of the world.
We got, look at this. Good call on the acres over access. You get to be a badass, in and out on a badass boat.
Yeah.
Someone was asking earlier about your boat, where you got it.
I got it off Facebook Marketplace. The skiff I got off Facebook Marketplace, and then I obviously outfitted it. And then the other boat is my late father-in-law. He passed away of a heart attack, and so we inherited his boat. And that's a little 19-foot Parker center console. Great little runabout. Sorry, I got the hiccups here. And that's got a little 150 on it. So that thing shreds. I love that boat, and got lots of good memories on it. So it's awesome to have it up at the lake with us.
And kayak, canoe?
Yeah, I'm not going to do a wooden strip canoe, but anyway, because I already have a Grumman aluminum.
Hey, hands off the microphone.
Is this the mic? I thought this was
your
the volume.
That's your mic.
Okay, whatever.
Don't touch.
So yeah, maybe one day when I'm an older guy, I might put the old wood strip canoe together and go for a paddle. But I love my Grumman aluminum because I beat that thing up, and the shoreline on the lake is pretty rocky, and the beaches are pretty gravelly, and so I'm just like, yeah, it's not like a sandy lake where all the beaches are sandy, and so it's like you bring a cedar strip canoe up on that beach, and it's just gonna rip through your gel coat. So that's why I've kind of stayed away from cedar strip kayaks and canoes, because they're just too fragile for the coastline that we have around here. But, we got kayaks up at there. I got a little sit-on type kayak. I'm going to bring my canoe up there here pretty soon, because there is a beautiful canoe camping route just on the next lake over. You can do you can canoe up the lake and hike up to the tallest waterfall in North America. It's just right next door to where our property is.
We did a video years ago where
we did a video a long time ago. Della Falls. So I've kind of given away where the location is like 10,000 times now. Anybody with Google Maps can find me pretty much right now.
Someone's asking the name of the lake, but we're not going to say.
Yeah, so
it's close to Della Falls.
There will be some stairs, sections of stairs. So I'm going to try and do boardwalk, and then maybe do like 7 steps and then landing, and then another set. Like I don't want to have it like big sets of stairs, but there will probably have to be about 15 or 20 stairs to get up to where the level part of the property is. And then we're going to have a big ramp, aluminum truss ramp built that'll go from the end of the boardwalk down onto the docks. So that'll be just a ramp.
What's the snow accumulation like up there?
We might get some snow. It's not a lot. Vancouver Island does not get snow very often. So see you, Adam. See you in a couple weeks. They're gonna come up. He's gonna come up. He snapped his leg like a twig and had surgery and put it all back together. And now he's kind of hobbling around. And his dad are gonna come up. He's gonna bring his new boat. It's gonna be awesome.
Nice.
I don't know what the snow accumulation is up there per se, but it's not going to be like a foot or multiple feet. Like you probably get maybe 1 or 2 dumps the winter time for 6, 8, 10 inches, and then it'll get rained out pretty quickly. So it's just more of like a wet, foggy, socked in kind of winter, where it's a very coastal rainforest type winter. So any of you guys who've spent some time on the BC coast know what that's like.
Yeah, except for 96.
Yes.
The winter of 96.
The one that never forgets. 3 feet of snow.
The great snowstorm.
The blizzard of 96, as we refer to it.
We got, how big are you making the cabin?
I'm going to try and do the full size that I'm allowed, which is 1,600 square feet. So it'll be around that, which is what the upstairs of my current house is about. Yeah, for 14 to 1,600 square feet with the little dining room addition that I built. So that's plenty for our family. So yeah, I might build smaller. I don't know. We'll see once I start laying it out on the property and see how big the footprint is, I might shrink it down a bit. But I do want to kind of keep it minimalist. So yeah, I don't know.
Ryan has an idea. When you're done hauling stuff with your skiff, turn it into a propane supply boat for boat access only homes. There you
Yeah,
go.
like the neighbors, they just bring out big 100-pound tanks of propane.
Yeah.
They haul out on their skiff. But yeah, most people run off generators, and they just bring out diesel and stuff like that for their generators or gas.
Howie.
This is true. After the Delta, the zombie variant's coming.
Yeah.
And so.
Have you ever used Fiddleback oak?
No, I have not used Fiddleback oak. You want to send me some?
Yeah. Who's gonna win tonight, Cowboys or Tampa?
I'm gonna put my money on Tampa because Cowboys suck.
They
just can't get their shit together ever.
Adam, this is a question for me. Don, my buddy.
Yeah, tell him about your specialization. What's your special?
I'm specialized in so many different things.
I know, you're a multi-talented man.
Multi-talented. I wouldn't say I am I mean, I would say I'm definitely above average at many things. My background is cabinetry, cabinet making. I worked in a cabinet shop for a long time.
He's built a lot of plywood boxes.
A lot of plywood boxes and doors and stuff like that. Fireplace mantles. And my
original YouTube videos for probably the first year were in Adam's woodworking cabinetry shop in his shop. So the original shop that I started making videos in, like the toolbox and the anvil stand and what else did I make? The anvil stand, the driftwood bench, and a few others. Like they were all made in Adam's shop, and then he shut his business down because you can't make any money in cabinetry these days. And so,
I did a lot of things.
Then I bought this property and started my shop here. So
there's a couple of things.
Without Adam, there might have never been a Samurai.
That's very possible.
So maybe you guys should buy this guy a beer.
Someone did already.
Buy him another beer just to thank him.
Don, I also, after that, I got into contracting and site supervisor work for retail renovations and building some houses and a whole bunch of stuff. And now I do a lot of video editing. I edit Jesse's videos and am involved with the Makers Mob as well. If you do want to, I don't have a YouTube channel, but if you want to look up my YouTube channel, the best thing would be to look up the Wood Ninja.
Yeah, that's good for a laugh.
Yeah. What else we got here?
I was using Alex Steele's chisel today to clean out mortises that I'm doing on the little timber frame cabin. So I'm wrapping that up. Hopefully, well, now that I'm doing this live video and it's almost dinner time. I'll be wrapping that up tomorrow, getting the last few posts mortised out and all ready. And I've got a big monster pile of timbers, all with joinery cut in them, that I'll be loading onto my truck and hopefully taking up to the property this weekend. So
nice. Wrong one. I missed
Kevin, look at this guy.
Look at that.
You the man.
For the beer
Kevin.
jar. This is awesome.
What are the margins like in custom homes in Canada? Right now, really good because there's just so much demand and so much building going on that everybody is swamped with work and I would guess making good money because everybody is starving for people to hire, and yeah, it's just crazy. But
yeah,
that could all change if the economy tanks, which could happen at any moment. So we'll see. But right now it's really good. If you want to build a house here in Victoria or on the island or anywhere in the lower mainland of Canada right now, you're looking at a bare minimum of $300 a square foot.
Yeah.
So it's stupid expensive.
Very expensive. Very, very expensive. Driftwood projects planned. There's no driftwood on his lake property.
Well,
but
there's some on a nearby beach. I found a good little cache. But there's so many dead trees. And I took down a really cool arbutus tree, which is would be in the Madrona family. for those of you, but it's kind of like a native to Vancouver Island species called arbutus. But it looks very similar to madrona, and it's growing everywhere all over there, especially on the rocky shoreline. And I cut one down that was standing dead right on my property. You saw it in one of the videos. And I want to use a bunch of the branches from it because it's a very beautiful kind of branches kind of fork out, and it's got lots of curves and cool shape to it. So the tree itself was kind of hanging over, so the trunk has an arch in it, and I'm going to cut a 10-foot section of that out, and I want to put it through the middle of the cabin so that when you come in, you have this, and I'll slab it on two sides so you can see the grain of the arbutus, but then I'll leave the live edge top and bottom. And so that's going to go through and support the purlin, and that supports the rafters in the middle. And so you'll have this cool live edge drift or arbutus arch coming in the middle of the cabin. And then I want to use a bunch of the branches to kind of, I'll put them in after the fact. I'm not going to use joinery, but I want to kind of put them in between the beams, like as braces, and maybe like plane the back flush with the edge of the cabin. So it kind of looks like the branches are like growing in between the timbers. So I'm going to do some kind of artistic live edge kind of branch work to really kind of make the cabin unique. And because it's dry, it's been dead for years. I just cut it down, so the wood's really stable, and all I have to do is cut it and fit it in there, right? So I'll make some cool little accents with a lot of that wood. But yeah, there's not a lot of driftwood on the lake, just a lot of dead trees in the forest. And I do plan on milling a lot of it, but I only have a chainsaw mill currently. There's a fan.
Sorry.
You only made one.
That's because it was a joke.
Yeah.
And it was made to mock this guy.
Yeah. Which, was good. It was a good one.
It served its purpose. There you go. Building codes. We've already kind of talked about that, but
any kind of zoning or permitting of anything is just a huge pain in the ass, especially when you're me and you hate that shit. So I'm hoping to kind of fly under the radar as long as possible, but I think I'm just going to bite the bullet and get a permit for building my main cabin, even though there's like dozens of cabins all around the lake that were clearly not built with permits. I think we're kind of getting into that. As much as I was hoping I'd be far enough out, for people to just not really care about that crap anymore, it seems like there's a big push in that area to kind of get everything all bureaucratized.
I gotta jump.
Gotta have more government employees and freaking dog humpers out there trying to police what I'm doing with my time on my own land.
You are you are the hardest and most creative, gifted.
Thank you, sir. I do try.
I
appreciate you for noticing my hard work.
Question about when you went to Japan. What was your experience there visiting Japan?
It was pretty fun. The food sucked. Not to say that Japanese food sucks, but I really did not enjoy the cuisine. But that might have just been the tour guides that planned all the restaurants and stuff. It was pretty traditional. But I've heard there is really good food in Japan. You just got to know where to go. But yeah, the culture was amazing. The wood craftsmanship and the temple sites and all the heritage sites are everywhere, and they're absolutely phenomenal. So it is a woodworker's dream to go to Japan, but the culture is quite different. It's a real experience for sure.
I remember you were super blown away by just the respect.
Yeah, the honor and the door respect, for you, the hospitality is through the roof, for sure. But everything is just done way differently there. So yeah, I recommend going for sure.
And also, you were saying the people that you met were very proud to show off their culture, right?
Oh yeah, every Japanese person is very, very proud, very national pride, to another level.
Yeah,
even more than America or
Didn't someone walk you down somewhere or something?
Yeah, everybody is very if you're looking for help, people will come and help you because everybody takes their pride in their country to so seriously that it's they'll stop whatever they're doing to help a foreigner find their way or get to where they're going. We had well, I had a random guy just like recognize me when we were in the airport and like drive us to our hotel, like offer to drive us to our hotel, like and drove us like a half hour to our hotel. Just was like, oh, happy to help kind of a thing. So it's just it is truly different in that regard. People are much more like conscientious and helpful. And want to like serve, especially tourists and stuff, so that they have a really good memory of going to their country. So it's quite interesting.
Would you recommend?
I do. I plan. Ooh,
miniature model? No, you haven't. You don't do miniature.
I am gonna models. I'm gonna make a little miniature model of my cabin before I build it. But yeah, I've never done that because I do my modeling on the computer. So in a way, I build a model of everything before I build it, but I do it all on 3D, like on SketchUp. So pretty much the same process, just no work involved, other than sitting at a computer and drawing it up. And so yeah, that's my process. Is I always make a model on SketchUp, and then I take all my measurements off the model, so I know everything's going to fit. And I can see all the proportions and everything and do the 3-dimensional fly around and really see what's going to work and what's not. And so I've done some tutorials on how to do that, like using SketchUp for beginners at the Maker's Mob. And it's really, you got to put in, like anything, you got to put in some hours to really get proficient with the program, but it's pretty user-friendly. So I self-taught myself just using YouTube videos, and I'm pretty good at SketchUp on a building scale. Like I don't do like crazy 3-dimensional objects, like like cars and that sort of stuff, but I can do all the straight and angular square type stuff that you would do in building. And but yeah, it's an awesome program.
Made any hinge jigs for routing?
I bought one from like Lee Valley, just a cheap one, like a door hinge jig. There's several out there. It worked all right. It was like $75.
Yeah.
You can make your own out of plywood, honestly. I would probably like just cut little plywood and then screw them all to a stick of wood and then just put that on the door. For making your own hinge jigs. It's so easy to make jigs when you have, like MDF. Well, I don't like using MDF, but I use Meranti plywood, which is like a cheap Chinese mahogany plywood. It's like $45 a sheet. It's probably $65 now with all the crazy shortages in the world. Actually, I've got a piece of it right here. I use this stuff, so it's like it's kind of got
Meranti.
I've been drilling on it and stuff, but this was a little like jig I made for something. But it's it's pretty nice plywood, 3/4 of an inch thick, and it's nice and flat and smooth, and it's great for templates and cabinet bases. And I did all the paneling in my shop with it. It's got a really thin veneer on it, so you can't really sand it or use it for nice projects, but it's a great utility kind of plywood.
We've been on for 53 minutes. We're going to wrap it up pretty quick here. We'll take a couple more questions. SketchUp extensions you'd recommend? Mainly you just draw from scratch, right?
Yeah, I don't even know what that is.
Jesse just draw. Yeah, he doesn't use any extensions or anything. He just draws everything from scratch.
If I'm using weird stuff, I'll just draw like my model, like how I know how to draw it, and then I'll be like, okay, I can just MacGyver the rest with weird shapes and stuff like that. Like I've never been able to like take a weird shaped piece of wood and like copy it into SketchUp. So I'll usually just measure, and then I can add in some weird shaped pieces if I need to of my own that I have, like branches and little pieces, live edge pieces that I've added to projects over the years.
Why not a pocket with a hammer drill instead of scribing support posts to a rock surface? Do you understand what he's saying? Richard, I don't know what you're saying.
Yeah, you can flatten the rock out if you want. But I find it's just as much work to scribe the posts, so it's actually probably a little faster. It's easier to cut wood than it is to cut rock.
Richard's also asking if we've seen Bigfoot yet.
No, I've heard lots of stories in the areas of these Bigfoot, but it's surprising how many people believe in that shit. Like,
But I don't know if people are totally serious about it.
no, there are a lot of serious people that ask me about Bigfoot.
Serious though?
Serious. Like our babysitter was like, "Oh, you're up in the bushes, like you'll probably see a Bigfoot." And I was like, "You're joking, right?" She's like, "No, my friend saw one, and she was walking down the street, and up in that area, and ran into it face to face." I was like, "Yeah, was she shit faced?" But yeah, I try not to like overtly laugh when people ask me about Bigfoot, but there's a lot of people that believe in that. A lot of people that do.
Hey Jesse, because of you, Samurai, I built my own kitchen cabinets, all dovetailed to say the least, with Lee Valley hardware.
You the man. I haven't even done that. How did I inspire you to do that if I haven't even?
Because you were in a cabinet shop when you started out.
Yeah, that's true.
So technically, I inspired.
Yeah, you could take credit for that one, Adam.
Schedule for future lives. We're going to be trying to do them like every 2 weeks, ongoing, and we're getting the schedule lined up right now with different makers to be jumping in. Summer's been a little bit hard to line that up, but we'll be doing them more regularly.
I'm usually at the property from like Friday through Monday, and so if we do lives, they'll probably be on a Wednesday or a Thursday, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
So that'll be the typical time around this time of day, 3-4 o'clock on a Wednesday or Thursday every other week. That's what we're trying to lock down.
Doesn't look like we got any more questions. We give you guys
nobody else is interested in my life.
10 seconds to ask a question. Bigfoot is the hide and seek champion.
Yeah,
that's right, Matt.
He's killing it out there, man.
He's killing it. Yeah, we're gonna have to do a Bigfoot.
How old is he by now?
Party.
He's got to be pretty damn old.
We have to do a search party.
Is he out there like shagging other big feet and making little Bigfoot babies?
I don't think that's how it works, man. You don't shag big feet.
Are they procreating? Because I'm like, man, like they gotta train their kids pretty well to not be seen. It's just like where are they hanging out?
How does a Bigfoot train its children to not be seen?
Exactly. It's like, and then, life as a Bigfoot guy.
You're seen again.
Now the conspiracy theories are going to be through the roof. What did that tell you about leaving the cave?
I told you.
All right, I think this rum and root beer starting to hit.
There we go. What about the solar question? We answered your solar question before you asked the question.
I'm going to be doing solar. Yeah. Okay. I don't know anything about solar. I'm a total noob when it comes to off-grid systems. I am literally just figuring this shit out and YouTubing everything I can to try and learn from other people. But I will be building a solar setup. Hopefully, I'm hoping that some solar company or retailer will reach out to me, or we'll reach out to them, and we can try and get a deal, because this stuff is crazy expensive. And right now I do not have $30,000 to spend on a giant solar system.
I think this is the winner.
Perfect. That's a perfect answer. The aliens do it. They probably have cloaking devices, baby cloaking suits. It's like we got those Muddy Buddies for our kids.
Yeah.
They just put on little alien invisibility suits.
Or what are those?
Has anybody seen a female Bigfoot? They all just look the same. You can't really tell the gender unless you get it. Nobody's gotten close enough to figure it out. Maybe it's been a girl this whole time, and we thought it was a guy. Wasn't there a whole show about it? Harry and the Hendersons.
Yeah, Harry and the Hendersons. Look at this. Yeah. What is this? Is there something going on in BC? I have a friend who bought a town on a lake near you. A town? A whole town?
I guess so.
Huh.
Probably some abandoned logging camp or something like that.
Well, I know there's some abandoned towns that have been purchased. I know one, but it's kind of more northern BC on the coast.
Yeah, that was a big shutdown place.
Molybdenum mine, the Kitsault.
There are a lot of mines.
Yeah.
In British Columbia, and there are little towns and settlements near these mines that often go dormant when the mines get shut down. And you can pick them up pretty cheap. There's lots of those everywhere. There's another guy, I don't necessarily follow him, but there's a guy that down in he's in the desert of Nevada or something like that. He bought a mining town way up in the hills, and he lives up there by himself. He's like this real quirky guy. And he like goes down into the caves and the mines and he's trying to restore all the buildings and stuff. He's literally living by himself. He looks like an old gold miner, even though he's like 40 something.
Ghost town living.
I think that's probably the guy. And he's like, the videos, he gets crazy views because people are just like, what is this guy doing living in an abandoned mining town? And all these people are going up there and like helping him, and it's kind of a cool story.
Yeah.
But
crazy. Well, let's wrap this up. It's been over an hour.
I know, time flies, hey?
Flies. People are really engaged today, asking lots of questions.
Check out Net Zero Solar. They're very good. I will check them out for sure. But at the end of the day, guys, like I've done enough research on solar for you guys that are drinking the Kool-Aid or smoking the ganja when this stuff comes around. Like solar is not the answer. It's the only option I have. Solar right now, like the technology is not like,
especially where we are.
Yeah, maybe if you live like in California or you get like year-round sun and it's awesome, then solar might work for you. But in Canada, solar does not really work. It's kind of like your only option. It works during the summer. It doesn't work in the wintertime because we just don't get enough sunlight here. And so
it's dark at like 4 o'clock.
I would need probably like 30 kilowatts of panels to be able to actually like run my house. So, maybe there's people out there that are tooting oh yeah, it's doable, it's viable, but it's not. Like you have to spend a ton of money. You're basically just paying for all your power up front. Like that's what a lot of people, like when you actually find YouTube videos where people aren't just like, hey, I just set up my new solar system, I'm going to make all this money.
Hey, yeah, but look at this. Hydro bill is $250 a year, and not that one. Lives in Courtney.
Well, there you go. No, like you could do it, but you have to conserve. Like you can't live like you're on the grid. Or if you do, you need a massive solar system. And as far as like long-term gain, like you don't make that money, but like you're basically just paying for all your power up front. So it's like, yeah, you're not paying $250 a month or whatever anymore, but you had to pay $30,000 up front for your setup. And then it works for 20 years in ideal conditions, and then you have to replace it. So that's the thing about solar is like everybody that you find on YouTube that's actually like, hey, I've had this system for 10 years. This is how much power I've made. This is how much it cost me. They're all like, it's not cheaper than paying for power from the grid. It's just not. And the maintenance and all the batteries and the work that goes into that, like, so it in that sense, it's like I'm doing solar because it's my only option, and the technology is getting better, and hopefully it just continues to, and maybe one day it'll be more of a viable option for solving energy needs. But right now, it's like basically like use a loud generator or build a solar system, like pay a bunch more money and have a solar system, and then at least your power is quiet, kind of a thing. So that's what I've learned so far. But who knows? Maybe there's much more to learn on it. But most of the people on YouTube that are just like, oh yeah, I've solved the world's energy problems with my solar system. It's like, nah, you haven't even tested that thing for more than 6 months. You don't know what you're talking about. You find the people that have done it for 10 or 15 years, and they'll all tell you, like, it's not cheaper, it's not easier. You're just paying a ton of money up front, and then you have to replace it all in 20 or 30 years. So,
hey, this is the last question. We're going to go on and on and on about solar. We're going to have to do like a designated solar power.
We do have some merch. This is my merch right here.
On the samuraicarpenter.com. But we are in the process. Shop,
and we're coming up with some new ones. We've got an idea for the Off-Grid Samurai. We're going to make Off-Grid Samurai shirts. And we're going to get
ideas.
We need to we're going to get a silhouette of me holding the chainsaw above my head. And then we're going to make a cool little font, Off-Grid Samurai. And then you guys can all buy your Off-Grid Samurai shirts, which I think we're going to be a hot ticket item. So like, get your cards ready.
Yeah.
Because
what was the one that we were going to do for me from the last live?
Oh, something about stupid. Didn't it have something to do with stupid?
Something about shut up or like don't. Something about something. I don't know. We'll have to look back. I'll look back. We can look back and see.
Yeah, it was like a funny quote that somebody
It's a
made.
funny one. And
And
we were like, we should
oh,
put that on a shirt.
We should put that on a shirt. Yeah, we should.
Anyways, all right. Thanks for tuning in today, guys. Say
Been
bye,
fun
Jesse.
hanging.
Appreciate.
Pour yourself a drink.
I appreciate the.
Even though it's not Friday, it's Thursday. Sometimes Thursdays need a drink too.
I got to do a special shout out to, where'd that go? Who was it that donated beer? Not to me, a beer.
Yeah, Kevin. Kevin and the other.
Kevin? No,
and then there was another guy.
Yeah, I can't see it. It's lost in the interwebs.
Keegan. Shannon. Lohenry.
There you go. Thanks.
Lorenry. Man, people's names are so hard.
This right here.
Aren't all samurais out here? Probably.
You should be. We're gonna end with that. Thanks, guys, for tuning in. We'll talk to you guys later. Have a good one.
Samurai.
Wood Ninja out. Peace.